What's going on, you guys? This is Lawai, you're watching Roots and Rhymes, and today we're talking about preparedness. If the world ever goes boom, I want to be prepared. That's something I decided like 2 years ago now. So I've slowly but surely been prepping for a SHTF kind of situation. And so I wanted to make this video to share with you guys a little bit what are some things that you can do to get started. You don't have to start big. You just have to start somewhere. I wanted to make this video because when I first started prepping, I would have liked to watch a video just like this one that gives a little bit of advice as to where to start. That's not too overwhelming, doesn't go too in depth, but starts getting you on the right track, because these times are very unpredictable and it seems like the world is just a ticking time bomb. These days, I think more and more people are starting to realize that being a little bit prepared isn't crazy. It's not paranoid. With everything going on in the world right now, geopolitical tensions, inflation, uncertainty, it's just common sense to think, what would you do if something suddenly went wrong? Now, just to be clear, this video isn't only about something extreme like World War III. Preparedness applies to all kinds of situations. It could be a massive blackout, the power grid going down, a cyber attack, supply chains getting disrupted, or even new technologies creating problems we're not fully prepared for yet. The point is simple. Emergencies can happen in many different forms, and the tips in this video apply to almost all of them, because at the end of the day, preparedness is really just about being ready to take care of yourself and your family if normal systems stop working for a while. Let's get into it. The first thing you need to decide is very simple. Are you staying or are you going? That decision changes almost everything about how you prepare. If you plan on staying put, your focus should be things like water, food, protection, making your home as safe as possible. If you plan on leaving, then your priority becomes mobility. That means having a bug out bag ready, and ideally a location already planned for when the time comes. One of the biggest and most overwhelming things you can do is thinking that you need to do everything all at once. You don't. Just start small. Every time you go grocery shopping, spend an extra $5 to $10 on dry food and canned food that you're just gonna set aside. I'm talking about foods like rice, beans, spices, things that have a really long shelf life. These foods store extremely well if you can get them in airtight containers or Mylar bags, and then put them in 5-gallon buckets and store that in a cool, dry place. You're extending the shelf life from 2 years to maybe 10, 15, even 20. So another thing that people will often forget is medical supplies. Do you or your family have specific needs? Do you need, a certain type of pill to literally stay alive? 3, 4, 5 days into the apocalypse, you can bet that the local pharmacy is going to be completely raided. Having even a small extra supply of that critical medication can really make a huge difference. Next, if there's one thing that you should always prioritize, it's water. If you're staying put, you're staying at home, one of the first things you should do if shit hits the fan is fill every single container you can with water. We're talking about bathtubs, we're talking about pots and pans, Tupperware, everything. Our water systems rely on power and infrastructure, and those things are gonna get shut off and will fail fairly quickly. You should also have a way to purify water. Purification tablets, things like Grail bottles, Life straws, gravity filters, all these things are good options. And any of those is better than having none. Next thing that I focused on recently is navigation without electronics, getting a local paper map of my area. You should also get your hands on a compass and learn how to use one if you haven't already. Don't get me wrong, phones are an amazing tool, but they require power, they require signal, and infrastructure. And in a serious emergency, these things may not be available. That is why knowing how to navigate without electronics is extremely valuable. Something else that you can do right now that is extremely important is creating a rendezvous point for your family, your friends, and your loved ones. Choose a rendezvous point and a time window. That way, if communication goes to shit, you're gonna be okay. You're not gonna be that stressed out because you know that there's a certain place at a certain time where you're gonna meet. Everyone already knows where to go. So again, instead of panic and confusion and stress, there's already a plan in place. It doesn't matter if I'm at work, if my brother is across town or whatever, we already know, okay, communication is lost. All right, we gave ourselves, I don't know, 24, 48 hours to meet at this specific spot, and we don't leave or continue the plan until everybody is there. Next one is a huge one. Build yourself a bug out bag, especially if your plan involves leaving. What is a bug out bag? It is essentially just a bag that contains all the essentials that you need to survive for a minimum of 72 hours. The reason that you prepare your bug out bag ahead of time is super simple. When shit hits the fan, you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to panic and start thinking, what should I pack? Go grab the bottle, go grab you're wasting so much time, you're stressed out, you're trying to put all these things together. The likelihood of you missing out on an important item, very high. So much easier, so much more peace of mind knowing that you already have that planned out. Just go open your closet door, grab your bag, and phew. It's all about removing as much chaos as possible. Next, I want to talk about communication and information. If this were to ever happen, right? I wouldn't rely too heavily on social media for information. So first of all, your cell phone should be off already in the first place. Conserving your phone batteries becomes very important, unless you do need to communicate, and you can. And if that's the case, I would keep my messages short, just a couple sentences and not giving out too much information, right? You don't want to be tracked. You don't want to have any leaks for your plan. This is where a quality emergency radio, preferably one with a hand crank, solar panel maybe, just different ways to charge it, can be extremely useful. Learning and knowing what emergency frequencies operate in your area can help you stay informed even when the internet or the cell networks aren't working. Something people often overlook also is community. I think it's important to get to know your neighbors on a first name basis. 2 to 3 neighbors. I'm not saying you have to share all of your plans and your supplies, but being able to reach out and vice versa, saying, hey, are you good? Do you need anything? Is nice. And knowing that your neighbors are not gonna come try to rob you or make your situation harder is a huge deal. That's gonna create a stronger and safer environment for everybody. Also, if you're staying at home, here are some quick tips and things that you should be doing that can improve your safety. Number 1, kind of obvious, but in case of an explosion, glass shrapnel can fly out pretty quickly and injure you. So stay away from the windows all around. Also, you want to choose rooms that are surrounded by stronger walls. In most homes, that's gonna be probably like the bathroom downstairs if you have a basement, because they tend to have fewer windows and more structural support. And if you have a bunker or a safe room already, good for you, my friend. The goal is to simply put as much physical material between you and outside as possible. So barricade them doors, barricade those windows, just add as much stuff as you possibly can. If supplies become limited, you're gonna have to start rationing your food, right? At that point, we're not eating for pleasure, we're eating to survive. You should absolutely have a way to boil water and heat up your food without electricity. Something simple like a jet boil, a camping stove, a wood stove, all great options. Lastly, if your area was to get nuked and you survive the nuke, stay inside. Stay inside for at very least 48 hours, because that is when there's the most dangerous particles still floating about in the air. After 48 hours, those particles, because they're heavier than the atmosphere, they will eventually settle down. The longer you can wait, the better. If you're staying inside, seal all of your entrances. You still do need a little bit of airflow because you don't want to suffocate. But the longer you stay inside, the safer outside will become. At the end of the day, preparedness is not fear. It's what smart people have always done. It's just about being responsible and thinking ahead. You don't need a bunker. You don't need a warehouse full of supplies and to sink a bunch of money into that. But start small. Like, just bug out bag. Like, there's some of these things that you should absolutely just do, because if you're relying on governments to keep you safe, you're if you really think that the government is going to protect you in a situation like such, you are wrong. By starting small, you'll see that over time, you're gonna feel more and more at ease. I pray that day never comes, but if it does, you're gonna be a lot less stressed. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and leave a comment down below if you have any questions or advice that you wanna share with the rest of us. And last but not least, I'll see you in the woods, my friend.